Hey everyone, welcome back to BSS Oz. Royce here, and it's been a hot minute. It's been a bit of a rough trot the last few weeks. I had a bit of COVID there for the first time, so took a chance to have a bit of rest, look after the family, and feeling a lot better. Ready to get back to it, and it is an exciting time. We're into spoiler season for set 2. If you're like me, you've been playing with these cards for the last how long has it been? 6 months or so. So yeah, look, it's a fun game still, but it can get a bit old seeing the same thing over and over again. So something new is an exciting thing for me. So look, I thought I'd take the chance here to have a look through a few of the spoilers from set 2, pick out a few of the highlights from that I've seen. So the last 2 weeks, we're up to I think white now. So yeah, we'll kind of look at what we've got so far and share some thoughts. Let's get into it. All right, so first up, we've got the namesake of the image sake of set 2 starter, the Rooster Zodiac Emperor Gale Phoenix. What a mouthful! But so this is a 8 cost with a 4 green reduction, the X rare for the starter set deck. The level 1, 2, 3 effect. When this spirit or one of your spirits with Swift destroys one of your opponent's fire comparing BP, select one of your opponent's spirits and exhaust it. Pretty cool effect. I reckon there's a bit to unpack here. We'll have a look at Swift in a moment as well. And the level 2 and a 3 ability, when this spirit attacks, select one of your opponent's spirits and exhaust it. Now look, from what I've seen so far, even with just the green starter, I'm excited to see what the main set of green has to offer in set 2 as well. But I reckon there's something with a bit of an exhaust theme going on. With the white spoilers so far, we have 1 armor green effect. But I think exhausting seems like a cool way to be able to get around what may have been some problematic boards before. If there's a bunch of creatures that are loaded up with cores and BP's way out of range, just exhaust them. Get them out of the way. Get that last bit of damage in. I reckon there's some stuff I'm keen to play around with. So let's have a look at the Swift ability. So Swift, we're having a look at the 4 cost Viscount Manoba with a 2 green reduction. So Swift is, you may, at a flash speed, so that's the window that this can only be activated in, you may summon this card from your hand by using cores from your reserve to pay its cost and place cores onto it. So a few things with Swift, as I mentioned, flash window only, so you can only kind of trigger it after an attack's been declared or after a block's been declared. If that's moment skipped altogether, you miss that opportunity. It must be paid from your reserve. So previously, it's been a bit easier, I think, to manage your cores. But I think this new mechanic kind of introduces that extra layer of core management. So whereas before you might there's often not really any reason not to load up your creatures, unless you're trying to dodge some real specific level-based things. But if you want to dodge core removal and things like that, you just chuck everything on your creatures and make it big, go wild. Whereas here, you might want to kind of be a bit more conservative, play a bit more with a bit more in the reserve there, and even just to kind of bluff that. Make your opponent stop and think, okay, how can they get me if I do this? So obviously you can summon a blocker in the flash window when your opponent's attacking you. Summon a blocker in the attack window to block. You can also summon an extra attacker in after the blocking window too. So you might be a 1v1 kind of with your opponent. They've blocked your creature. They're thinking, yep, we're safe here. After blocks are declared, flash in one of these. Now, my mate Costa from Soulcore, who I was chatting with, he was kind of a bit dubious of what the selection we have with Swift so far. So it's a bit more, you have very, there's very specific stat lines. So you kind of aware of, okay, if my opponent's indicating this as how many cores they have, you can play around that pretty easily. But I reckon as more and more creatures come into it, it adds that extra layer of surprise or so you'd say. Makes people have to respect the cause and respect what could be coming, which is another layer of the game, which is great. So you got like Viscount Manoba as one, Leaf Wolf is a 2-cost one, so a few different options. Stat line wise, nothing too impressive, but just the threat of being there, I think, is a cool thing too. A couple of the noteworthy green magic cards I want to flag. So you got Needle Shot. So this is a pretty cool card, I reckon. Yeah, I'm excited to play around with this a bit. So that's again from your starter deck, your green starter deck, 3 cost, 2 green reduction. Main / flash ability, so select one of your opponent's spirits and exhaust it. Another similar kind of thing we saw as well is the one which is a box topper, or the Gundam, promo, Thorn Prism or Beam Rifle, 4 cost, 2 green reduction. During main or flash, your opponent selects 2 of their refresh spirits, exhaust them. So this gives your opponent the choice, but again, can kind of really threaten a bit of a board here, particularly if you're swinging with Luster creatures as well. If you're getting Thorn Prison or Needle Shot back, I reckon there's something good there, something to play around with. Multiple Cores, another one I like. Bit of Ramp. Ramp is here and among us. Yeah, that's cool to see. I love the kind of the mid-range kind of builds of decks, and those enablers that just help you kind of outpace your opponent and set yourself up for a bit further on in the game. All right, on to our red spoilers. So there's a few things around. A cool thing, and I saw Cosmic mentioning this earlier as well. But something that's been really cool to see in set 2 is the support for a lot of the set 1 archetypes. So where they could have kind of just introduced a whole new separate set with no synergies whatsoever, that's not what they've done, and I'm got a lot of respect for that, and I'm excited to see that you can actually play around with a few things. So they've introduced a lot more Awaken abilities in red, so you've got things like 10 Sword Saint Starblade Dragon, again, all the words. The X-Rare, so that's a 7 cost, 3 reduction. Level 1, 2, 3, you can awaken at flash speed. Level 2 and 3 during your turn. When you draw a card with one of draw a card with one of your effects, select one of your opponent's spirits with 3,000 or fewer BP and destroy it. And level 3, while the spirit attacks, when you have 3 or fewer life and you reduce your opponent's life, draw 2 cards. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know, a few niche kind of interaction points there. But yeah, certainly something that can be played around with a bit, I reckon. You've got Star Dragon, a new kind of a new Sigworm to play around with, which has actually got a bit more than just Awaken or Confront like the previous one did. So yeah, with the 6 cost, 3 red reduction, level 1 through 3 flash, Awaken, level 2, 3 when it attacks, if the spirit has a soul core on it, draw a card, and level 3, if a spirit card with Sigworm in its card name is in your trash, this spirit gains Confront. So yeah, pretty cool. I reckon that's a bit more than what the like the Supernova decks had to play with before, and could kind of help flesh that deck out a bit more. But again, yeah, you've got a few more Awakened spirits. Yeah, a bit more to play with in that realm. A few more Confront things floating around as well. All around, yeah, it's cool. Red's good. Red's got a few things to play with. There's a new Void Lord, Rage Dragon, Emperor Ira, 10 cost. We're getting to the big boys now. With 6 red reduction, level 1 through to 3. When summoned, select 10 spirits with 4,000 or fewer BP and destroy them. That is huge, above the 3,000 kind of break point that we've been really respecting up to this point. Yeah, 4,000 I think really is that much better. It's it can pick up a lot more targets. Level 2 and 3 Awaken, and level 3 during your turn, when the spirit destroys one of your opponent's spirits, select one of your opponent's nexuses and destroy it. Yeah, when you're swinging with a 15k thing that is gonna pretty well wipe out anything up to this point, I think that's been printed. What's your biggest thing? Up to this point, I think you've got the Gigano Rex, which is more of the swing it gets the buff as well, right? So yeah, like there's not much it's not going to deal with, and being able to destroy a Nexus to boot. I reckon this will see some play. Not exactly sure the deck it's going to fit into as much. But yeah, keen to see it played around with. All right, on to our purple. Now, purple is something I'm excited about. Now, I didn't have a lot of luck season 1 with promo cards, so I cracked a lot of chainmail, like more than anything I've cracked chainmail. So there just wasn't that support in set 1, I think, too. You didn't have the self-destructions to play around with as much. Whereas set 2, we have a lot more to play with. So looking into a couple of things here. So we've got a few more immortal creatures. We have Cyclo Winder, a 6 cost 3 purple reduction. Immortal costs 1 or 4. Previously up to this point we've just had Beldegor at the 4 and 5 points. 1 cost. You've got a few to play with. Cyclo Winder can activate from. Our other mortal creature we've got is Corpse Giant Gigasha. A 5 cost with 2 purple reduction. Immortal costs at 6 or 10. So far I think we just have the Void Lords being 10 costs. But again, another good recursion threat. Beldegor, cards like that are just... The opponent really has to respect those beyond the grave as well. Level 2 and 3, when this spirit attacks, select one of your opponent's spirits with 1 core that spirit cannot block during this battle. Again, making your opponent play around that a bit more. So we have a few more When Destruction cards. These are the cards that I'm excited about for like a chainmail sort of deck. Or things like we've already been seeing with like Pandemonium and Dark Knight Nemesis. So yeah, we have our 4 cost 2 purple reduction, Dark Knight Lamorak. Level 1, 2, 3. When destroyed, select one of your opponent's spirits, remove one of its cores and place it into the reserve. That's not too much in itself, but certainly can still be effective. During your turn, level 2 and 3, the first time one of your purple spirits is destroyed each turn, return that spirit card from your trash to your hand. Now that is a threatening thing for a self-destruction deck, that you can be popping your own stuff off. Again, you want to hope there's some extra utility to give yourself a bit of a buff, or negatively affect your opponent with a destruction, and then just chuck it back to your hand. Now, I would assume with things like Freeze Tool we've had previously, where it will check itself. If it's level 2 or 3, I imagine this should check itself and return itself, but that's something I'll have to confirm later as well. Other than that, we have a 7 cost, 3 purple reduction, Imperial Knight God Avalo Palladion? I can't say Paladin, but it's Palladion. Level 1, 2, 3, when destroyed, select one of your opponent's spirits, remove 7 of its cores and place them into their reserve. Now that's something that's going to clean up most threatening things to you. Yeah, that's cool. Level 3, during either end step, if one or more of your spirits has been destroyed this turn, draw 2 cards at the start of the step. Again, amazing utility in a self-destruction deck. Yeah, I felt like the bones were there, set 1, and with the promo and chainmail, but I think this has been fleshed out a bit more and a lot more to play with. So yeah, I'm excited for that. On to our white cards. So let's have a quick look at white now. Now white, I think, has probably been fairly so. I think probably one of the most hyped, the hyped colors so far. First up, we got Trickster Machine God Loki. 6 cost 2 white reduction. It is a mecha. Given that mecha support again, shout out my boy Costa over at Soulcore. When destroyed by opponent, irrelevant to level, summon one of your mecha tokens. So our first look at tokens coming in. So a token is a token spirit, white, 0 cost mecha token. Level 1 is 3000 BP and no other levels beyond that. So when it dies, put something else in to boot. So if you're attacking with this dies, this will summon another mecha to be able to swing in with you. Upon its death, during either attack step, level 3 only, when you or one of your opponent loses life, select one of your mecha spirits or nexuses you may return to your hand to refresh this spirit. Again, can really enable some pretty nutty turns. Yeah. This scares me. I'm not really much of a white player, but I think this is a pretty threatening card. And if I was a white player, I'd be rejoicing with something like this. Another big threat for white we've got is Winged Godmech Grand Woden. So this is an 8 cost with up to 4 white reduction. Levels 1, 2, and 3. During your opponent's turn, when your opponent uses a magic card from their hand, they must discard a card as an additional cost. Now this is a card that I've said the last card scares me, this one scares me too. This one, when you want to build something more luster focused or something kind of real control magic kind of decks, this hoses that right out. So yeah, it's certainly something which will shut down a lot of decks in one card, which is pretty threatening, pretty good. Level 2 and 3, during your turn, refresh this spirit when your opponent uses a magic card from their hand. Again, keeps on happening, so this couldn't be something that would be exhausted down with that yellow-green kind of build that I was thinking of. Pretty nutty card. And level 3, when one of your spirits is refreshed, this spirit gains 4,000 BP during this turn. That is not a once-a-turn ability either. So yeah, if something keeps on getting refreshed, then this will just keep getting bigger and bigger. Damn. White out here getting the good tools. A couple of spicy things there. And the other thing I wanted to give a shout out to is just a vanilla, okay? There's a lot of vanillas, a lot of kind of pretty uninteresting stuff floating around. But Tankmobile KV2 for white, 8 cost with up to 5 white reduction. Now this bad boy only has 2 levels, but only needs 2 levels, because level 1 is 5,000, 1 core. Level 2, 2 cores, just 1 extra 1, bumps up to 10,000. That's huge. That's pretty cool. I can certainly see some decks wanting to run something like this. So look, that's probably the main ones I'll draw attention to. Not to say that there isn't a couple of more spicy cards being revealed already, but conscious of time, don't want to keep you guys around too long, and we'll probably make another video checking out a few of the spoilers. In another week or two's time. Look, give us a shout out in the comments, things you're excited for from set 2 so far. I'm excited. There's a lot of cool stuff around the corner. So get brewing. Now's the time to put the thinking cap on, thinking how you can either be making a new deck or consolidating and improving the ones you've already got out there. Now, look, if you haven't ordered yet, are you looking locally in Australia to try and pick up some booster boxes, set 2, check out Grimdark Gaming. Always give them a quick shout out. Use the code BSSOZ at the checkout. Give yourself a nice little 5% off there as well. And aside from that, let's keep our ears out, keep our eyes open for some spoiler season. And I'll see you guys soon. Catch you later.